Happy New Year, everyone! Let's discuss some of the trend predictions for 2025, at least as told by Pinterest and maybe a few other people, I don't know. But we're not just gonna react to them, we're going to put them in a bingo card. Since a lot of the trend predictions to me seem like continuations or variations on the same things that we've been seeing for the past couple of years, I thought it would be more fun to put them in a bingo card that as the year goes on, we can check them off. There are 2 blank spaces in this bingo card. It's 16 squares with 14 filled in and 2 blank. Even though I did have a list of more than 16, I took out a few that just, I don't know, I wasn't really feeling, and I thought it would be fun to leave those 2 blank ones to be filled in by you guys. If there's any predictions that you have that I don't hit and you think should be in this bingo card, please leave them in the comments. And then my favorite one, I will put in one of those blank spaces, or I might choose 2. We'll see what you guys come up with. I'm not sure if I want to leave a blank space or not. We'll see. And if you are new here, hello, my name is Melody. I make videos about customizing your clothes, creating costumes, and generally just being a crafty woman. You can also find me getting up to those same nefarious activities over on Instagram. I hate how that sounds like an ad read. I mean, it kind of is. I need to get better at self-promotion. It just feels so awkward. So let's jump into it. The first square on this bingo card is basically just red. On the Pinterest predicts page, they have a big old thing about cherry red. It's just red. Red was huge this past year with oxblood and then the pop of red and then burgundy, and it doesn't look like it's going anywhere. I've said before, I like red. I don't mind this. I do think it's kind of silly that we just keep calling it different colors. It reminds me of that meme where it's a list of colors and on the one side you have a woman looking at it and she's naming each individual color, and then on the other side is a guy and he's like, this is pink, this is green, this is blue. And that's kind of how I feel about this. Like, I get it, they're different colors, but it's basically just red. The next square is a new aesthetic that's basically one outfit. This is not based on Pinterest predicts, this is just based on patterns that we've seen with different aesthetics that come and go, especially if it's an aesthetic that doesn't really match your lifestyle. So this past year, that was definitely mob wife. I mean, I know you can make more than one outfit within that aesthetic, but for most people it was one outfit. Even the cowboy western aesthetic was basically one outfit for people for whom that isn't part of their world. I feel pretty confident that we'll see some new aesthetic pop up in popularity and disappear at the same rate that ends up essentially boiling down to one outfit. The third square is something nautical, coastal, oceanic, having to do with the ocean. Specifically on Pinterest, they predict sea witchery, specifically relating to makeup and jewelry, it looks like. Yeah, makeup and hair and all of that, as well as the fisherman aesthetic. Now this one, if you guys have been around this channel for a while, you already know I'm down with. A couple years ago when I did a video of winter outfits, I remember calling some of my outfits fisherman's wife or lighthouse keeper. So this is right in line with a lot of stuff that I already wear. I'm here for it, I'm down with it. But not only is it on the Pinterest predicts page, we've also seen over the last few years like coastal grandma, coastal cowgirl. That was one outfit. That was basically one outfit. Briefly, there was like a mermaid core kind of thing going on. So adding nautical or ocean-based elements to our style has been pretty popular for a few years now. I don't think that's gonna go anywhere. I'm not really big on like beachy styles. Oh yeah, there was also coconut girl. Wow, that was such a blip in time. But if we all wanted to start dressing like, oh, what was his name in Jaws? Captain Quint. Okay, if we all just started dressing like Captain Quint, that's fine. The fourth square, kind of bouncing off of the third one, is appropriating working class styles. Fisherman style is kind of doing that. The Western style this past year was kind of doing that, which is why I keep saying, like, if it doesn't match with the world that you live in, it does kind of end up being just one outfit, feeling a little bit costumey, which doesn't mean that you can't play around with those styles. I don't think we should gatekeep people from that. This even happens with specific items as well, like the Carhartt jackets. So I'm not by any means saying that people can't wear those things, can't enjoy those things, but I feel like every year there is some style or item that ends up being worn by like the Hollywood elites and the influencers. That totally is a mismatch to their actual life. On to the next line. Square number 5, minimalism, but different. Because no one wants to just call it minimalism anymore. It feels like it always has to have like a cutesy, fun name. There was clean girl, and then that girl. Why is it always girls? And then quiet luxury this past year. But I feel like every year we get some rebrand of minimalism. So my bet is on seeing another one. Square 6 is a blank space. Again, leave me your predictions down in the comments. Square 7, a color with a cutesy dumb name. Just like we had blueberry milk nail polish, it was light blue, or we had latte makeup, it was just muted brown makeup. I am curious to see what color-based trend we'll see this upcoming year that is basically some basic color but given a cutesy name. Oh, there was one I saw recently that made me chuckle. It was essentially strawberry blonde hair, but they were calling it gingerbread caramel hair. And even people in the comments, it was on Pinterest, even people in the comments were like, this is just strawberry blonde. It's not that I dislike giving the things a cutesy name, because it does make it more searchable if you're looking for something really specific related to that. I just think it's silly. Number 8, being gaslit about skirts over pants. It's like the most chronically online fashion thing that we've seen the past couple of years. It usually looks pretty dumb. I think where I don't mind it is when people are wearing like a tunic top, maybe over like a loose flowing pair of pants, and it's kind of more of a loose and flowy, almost bohemian kind of look. But when it's like the baggy jeans with the plaid pleated skirt and it's just too chronically online looking, that's pretty goofy, because ultimately it's a style that we're only seeing online. No one is doing this in real life. At most, I have worn like longer tunic tops or dresses that are like way too short for me over a pair of pants, but that's like an exception. I just feel like we're all collectively being gaslit about it at this point. All right, on to the third line, square number 9, a trend that is customizable, but somehow all looks the same. We definitely saw this past year with the bag charms. It is such an easily DIY-able thing. If you just rummage through your old trinkets, or I don't know, pick out a little charm in the jewelry section at Walmart that really speaks to you. But somehow a lot of them ended up looking the same because people were buying like bulk packs of charms just to be in on the trend. So this year I think we might see that come in the form of this dolled up trend, baby doll makeup, cute room ideas, and necklace charms in the most whimsical colors. So just based on like the little Polly Pocket-esque picture that we're seeing, this looks like something where we could see, again, more charms and trinkets and cutesy little details on things where it could be easily customizable, but people are gonna end up going with like the bulk pack on Temu or whatever. So I think that could be cutesy little clips and doodads in your hair. It could be, again, charm necklaces, bits and baubles attached to your outfit. Ooh, let's have brooches come back. Can brooches make a comeback? Brooches, whatever. So I don't know if we'll see it specifically through this dolled up trend that they're saying, but I think there will be something that comes along where it's easily DIY-able, easily customizable, personalizable, whatever. And yet we will have people buying bulk packs of whatever or pre-manufactured packs of whatever it is off of Amazon, Temu, etc. Unfortunately. Square 10, a delicate girly style rebranded. So I mentioned in my last video that coquette kind of just felt like a shifting of ballet core, where it was the same-ish girly delicate style just taken out of the dance studio. This year Pinterest predicts Rococo revival, which sure, that's definitely more Marie Antoinette just based on this picture, but ultimately it's girly, frilly, pink and white, maybe a few other colors. This is cute. I like that outfit. That's adorable. She looks great. All frills, no chill, opulent and ultra feminine. Kind of like minimalism rebranded. It's just girly girl style rebranded. And I like it. I very much enjoy super girly feminine styles, but yeah, it's kind of the same thing. Number 11 is another blank space for your predictions. Number 12, a craze based on a movie. While editing, I've amended this to include music as well, since this past year, Brat Summer had such a a huge, albeit short, cultural moment. I actually have no idea what movies are coming out this year. Should I look that up? Let me look that up really quick. But this year, oh my gosh, there was so much fashion and marketing and craziness based around Wicked. The pink and the green and like, oh my gosh. And the previous year, there was so much hype around the Barbie movie, and that had a huge fashion moment as well. So I'm curious to see if there will be another big movie release this upcoming year that people get super excited for and put together outfits for and get dressed to go out and see the movie. Let's see, what movies do we have? Okay, I'm not really seeing anything that jumps out at me as something that people will be dressing up for, but we have a whole year for me to be proven wrong. Square 13, someone declares that trends are dead after this video. This video doesn't count. I mentioned previously that I think this upcoming year, we're really gonna see trend fatigue from the masses hit its peak. It's already been growing significantly, I think, where people are just so over micro trends specifically because they come and go so fast to the point where you can't even enjoy them. By the time you've decided whether or not you want to give something a try, it's over and done with. I'm seeing a lot of people really just get to the point of like, oh my gosh, I don't care if this is not trending anymore. I like it, I'm gonna wear it. And I think that's great. So trends are not gone, but I think people are going to be expressing the sentiment that trends are dead, just from the standpoint of paying less attention to them, giving them less credence, especially when they're micro trends. I think broader sweeping trends within fashion are still going to be around and influential, obviously. But as far as the smaller micro trends or like one season trends, I think people are over it. And I think that's a wonderful thing. Square 14 is a classic print rediscovered. There are some prints and patterns that I think are in a way timeless. They just rise and fall in popularity. They haven't gone anywhere, they just might be harder to find or they're not as popular. This past year, that was for sure leopard print. But leopard print's always been around. It hasn't gone anywhere. It just rises and falls in popularity. Same with stripes, same with gingham. I heard someone say that gingham is gonna be on its way out. That's fine by me. I'm gonna keep wearing gingham. I love gingham. But I think this upcoming year, we're gonna start seeing more polka dots. I've seen polka dots more and more on my Pinterest feed. I've heard a couple other people, other YouTubers mention polka dots rising in popularity. I don't remember, so I'm sorry, I can't give credit. I don't personally like polka dots that much, but polka dots are kind of a classic print that, like I said, just rise and fall in popularity. They haven't really gone anywhere, so it just kind of feels like it's something that's always been there being rediscovered. Same thing with tartan. I can't remember where, I'm so sorry, I can't remember where I heard someone, or maybe I read somewhere, that tartan is predicted to be very popular this upcoming year. Maybe it was in relation to the fisherman trend. I don't remember. Or the growing popularity of Outlander. But I freaking love tartan. But again, tartan is a classic print. It's always been around. Well, maybe not following the Battle of Culloden. But again, tartan is a classic print that has been around. It just rises and falls in popularity. But I think there will be a classic print that just comes back into the spotlight. The next one, Square 15, is basically just green. Kind of like with red, I feel like we've seen varying shades of green come and go in popularity, not quite to the same extent as red. A couple years ago, it was like avocado green, and then this past year, the whole brat summer thing and brat green had a moment. So this year, I think there's gonna be another shade of green that really has a moment in fashion or maybe even in pop culture. Pinterest is predicting something about pickles, not necessarily the color pickle green. This just made me think that we might see pickle green or some kind of shade of green maybe related to pickles. Actually, the pickles kind of have nothing to do with it. It just made me think of the color green and how different shades of green have just popped up in popularity here and there. And then Square 16 is touching on just a broader trend within fashion, not so much a micro trend, although it has definitely been part of certain micro trends, or micro trends have drawn on it. It's just boho. It's just boho. So I was reading something on Vogue about boho just being a larger trend within fashion right now, of people moving away from stiff, rigid, structured items of clothing to looser, more flowing, organic shapes. And I think something that really has drawn on boho the last couple of years, well, maybe it was like 2 years ago at this point, I don't know, whenever it first popped off, is definitely whimsy goth. It's kind of just dark boho, if you really break it down. And then Pinterest is predicting for this year moto boho, which just makes me think of hello Hello Moto. Chunky leather handbags, flowing skirts, moto boots, and just enough fringe. And based on the pictures I'm seeing, I'm all for it. This is essentially a core part of how I already dress, where it's very feminine and flowy pieces paired with heavier, edgier pieces. But it's just boho. I mean, it's different than other subsects of boho, but the broad umbrella of it. So this square is really just for something that falls under the broad umbrella of boho. I mean, there's so many different ways that you can interpret boho style, whether it's like a hippie-ish look, or maybe a more beachy look, or this one where it's pairing it with edgier pieces, or maybe something more like Florence Welch and something a little bit more ethereal. Maybe it's something more witchy like whimsy goth. There's just so much that falls under boho. So it's just boho. And then something that I considered putting in one of the squares, but I just couldn't figure out quite how to phrase it or package it, just something that I think is a noteworthy prediction, is what Pinterest is calling castlecore, which is such a dumb name. Let's not call it that. Ancient castles and Gothic inspired stuff. I think this one is noteworthy, not so much as home decor, but in fashion and just general interest, because just speaking from my own observations, the Renfaire was so popular this year. Oh my gosh. My husband and I try to go to the Renfaire like once every year. It's something that I went to from time to time growing up as a kid and young adult. But this past year, the Renfaire was so popular. It sold out so fast. It didn't matter what the weather was, because normally you keep an eye on the weather and you maybe buy the tickets a week or so in advance, but they were gone more than a month in advance. It was crazy. I was lucky that I got to go twice. Not only that, D&D has increasingly just become so popular. Fantasy novels, not that they're necessarily well written, but we've seen a lot of essentially smut framed in fantasy on Book Talk, I think. And then we can't forget Chapel Roan's freaking iconic performance in that full body armor. That was so cool. It was so cool. So I think there's a general interest in fantasy, not just storytelling, but also living it out and getting to escape into that. So maybe we could put that as escapism in one of the blank squares. I'm not sure. I don't know that this will necessarily translate into people wearing fantasy styles on a regular daily basis, but I think we're gonna see more people turn to fantasy stories and fantasy themed events as a form of escapism, and also enjoy dressing up for those events, because not only was the Renfaire so crowded this year and sold out so fast, tons of people were dressed up, like more than years past. Like 90% of people were dressed up, at least at the Maryland Renfaire, and it was kind of cool. So I think people are just having fun with that and looking at it as a form of fun and escapism. I think that's gonna continue. So don't forget to put your predictions, if I didn't touch on them here, in the comments below, and I will pick at least one favorite out of yours to put in one of those blank spaces. If there's two really good ones, I'll fill in both of those blank spaces. And then I think I will post it here as a community post, and then also over on my Instagram. I'll try to figure out a way for you guys to also be able to save that photo and use it for yourselves if you want. If you made it to the end of this video, leave a sword emoji down in the comments. If you enjoyed hanging out today, make sure that you subscribe so we can hang out again next time. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see ya when I see ya. Goodbye.